This will be a little bit different than what I usually do.
Hi,
everybody. Kevin Barhyde here. Thanks for tuning in. What we're going to be doing today is actually a combo of what we did last week and a little bit extra from this week. So, some of the questions you'll see today were from this past week, but the longer answer. Some of the questions weren't even there, so they'll be new. And if you stick around to the end, Kentaro's going to ask me one extra special question. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy.
Oh. So did you hear that?
No.
His question is, as someone who is... Yes, goodbye.
Bye, Ty. Love you too.
So his question was, as someone who has fathered 4 children, what would you say to someone who doesn't want to be a father?
I've been saying that since you guys were born. There's always 4 things I always said to you guys, right? There are 4 things that will change your lives drastically. 1, drugs and alcohol, right? Was that 1 or 2? 1 was drugs, 2 was alcohol, 3 was don't be smoking cigarettes, and the 4th was what? Say the word. Sex.
Oh, yes. Never have sex ever.
No. But the idea was that if you are going to do any of those things, there's risks involved, right? That's what I've always talked to you and Ty about, right? So there's a good example of that. My oldest daughter, your oldest sister, she's 41 years old. I was 16 when she was born. Do I regret any of that? No. It's absolutely stunning to have a beautiful daughter and 3 wonderful grandchildren, right? But there are consequences for doing that. It's whether or not you're ready for that child to be born. It's whether or not you want to engage in raising that child, whether or not you want to have that responsibility. Do you want those consequences? Right? I wanted those consequences. Okay, 4 times I wanted those consequences. And those consequences have been monumentally life-changing for me. Wonderful. When you're 16, wasn't a great idea to have kids. I don't regret it, but not a great idea. But if you're 20 and you're thinking, geez, maybe I don't want to have kids, revisit that. Maybe every year. It doesn't have to be a big decision-making time, but how do I feel about it now? Am I ready for those consequences? Because usually it's not about I don't want kids or I want kids. It's about am I ready for children? Do I want to take part in that whole different life? Because when you were born, it was a life that just came into existence. And I want to be a part of that. I want to be engaged in that. I want to be involved in that. And those consequences are real, but they're also undeniably miraculous.
Ooh, I have a question. So, you have learned many lessons throughout your life that have led you to get out of difficult times, to get to better, more successful, happier times that you want. Me and Tyler had very different childhoods, situationally. So, how did you take those things that you learned and apply it to the different lives that me and Tyler had?
Experience, strength, and hope. And I know that kind of reflects so quickly that I have to unpack that a bit. Everyone that I meet in my life, I don't try to treat the same, but I think I approach with an understanding that you're going to be in a different place, just like I'm in a different place. You can't treat a 12-year-old like you would a 30-year-old, right? You got to find out where they are. Pay attention to where they are. Know a little bit about their past. And then all you really have is not guidance, not advice, not even suggestions sometimes, maybe suggestions. But definitely never tell them what to do, tell them what you did. All I've ever really done is try to package things in a way that you could understand, sure, that a child can understand or that a young adult can understand, right? But even now, I don't speak to you in a way that I might somebody who are in their 40s, right? I don't package my life and hand it to you as someone who's dealing with massive drug addiction and recovery. It wouldn't work. It's not what you're looking for. It's not what you need. But the pieces that I would unpack, hopefully they can be applicable in some way. All I am responsible for is sharing them with you. You're responsible for whether you pick them up or not. But next week, next year, 10 years from now, I might say the same thing, unpack the same explanation, and you'll say, boy, that means something awfully different to me now. We have to be respectful of that, where people are And all we really have is just our own experiences, our own strength that I got, I struggled with it, you'll be okay, you'll struggle, and the hope that we will not only transcend, but we'll learn from it and become the people we were meant to be. Hey, you know what's cool now? You asked me a question, Tyler asked me a question. Emmy, I'm sure, has a million questions, but we can't parse them.
Mama, what's your question?
Often a father is a husband. Not all the time.
You're right.
But often. Would a good father and good husband share any kind of quality?
I think I get scared when she asks me questions. Like the other ones you guys ask me, quick off the top of the tongue, right? Right? I think it's really interesting how comfortable I am speaking to my children and answering those questions. Terrified. Terrified. I'm like, can we stop that? Cut. First of all, I think probably more than anything else, humility. Honestly, if you want to be a good father, for me, I had to realize I can only be the best father that I can be in the moment. And it's going to be something I'm going to have to strive for over and over and over again. It's an uphill climb. I think when it comes to being a husband, boy, if you don't approach that with fear and trepidation, no, just kidding. If you don't approach that with humility, you gave me a card today, didn't you?
Yeah.
And what did the card suggest? What were the words that it used? We are a good team.
Yes.
I think teamwork is more rooted in humility than it is in any skills that a person has as a parent or as a husband or as a wife or in any relationship. And I think good teamwork is recognizing that I'm going to have certain strengths on certain days and you're going to have certain strengths on certain days, as a husband and as a wife, as a father and as a mother. And I think that's probably the most important thing too when I think about it. Humility allows me, it enables me to appreciate my role as a father in relation to your role as the mother. So when I have a relationship with you, Kentaro, it is with humility that I recognize that being your father is an honor. Having a child is an honor. Being a husband is an honor. Being a wife is a burden, I know. Being a wife is an honor. That's what teamwork does. That's what teamwork, I think, is made from.
Yes.
Dying question we have for your father?
Oh, I like that.
Dying question. I feel like I know everything.
Wow. I'm done. I win. I have accomplished something. Why do you feel you know everything?
Because you say a lot of things.
I don't hold back much, huh?
What do you hope that me and Tyler learned about fatherhood?
To be tender with your child. How important it is to be, the best word I could say is intimate. To have that closeness that is physical, is mental, is emotional. And I think one of the most important things that Mama and I recognized right at the beginning of our relationship is that it's spiritual. And I think that probably I'd want you to ponder that. I would never want to say this is, follow in my footsteps, so to speak. Find my spiritual nature. And find your own spiritual nature. And with hopefully your spouse or whoever you're with, you find a common or at least a connected spiritual relationship, a spiritual nature, and you bring your children into that world. And then you allow them to find their own. With all the things that we can protect you from, we have to let you learn. We have to let you grow. We have to let you experience life. And we have to let you choose. But I was responsible for making sure you had sunshine. I was making possible. I had to make it possible for you to have some fertile soil. That was our family and the spiritual, mental, emotional, physical stability of that family. Grappling with things, but knowing that you'd be supported and loved and cared for along the way, that there was going to be nothing that you're going to face that we wouldn't be right next to you to face. That confidence that you could run out the door and into traffic if I couldn't stop you. Eventually you're going to have that wherewithal to do. When you're 2, I can stop you. But I'm going to be there next to you. I'm going to be there beside you. I'm never, ever going to leave you. Always, always be by your side. Mm-hmm. Right. I'm still growing.
No,
you're trying to figure out everything about your life. So am I. Mm-hmm. So are we. Amma's got all the answers, by the way.
I have a question.
See what I'm saying?
So before we wrap up, can you tell me one thing that you learned from Poppy about father?
Oh, I was gonna ask that while we were okay. Yeah.
Be tender. And be really emotionally there for your kids. Be gentle with them physically. Be completely available to them to your best of your ability. My dad didn't have the physical strength, but every minute that he tried to step up to the plate, he was a baseball guy, so he always tried. Maybe as a kid it didn't even feel like it was enough, because you always want more from your dad. But now, as an adult, I recognize how much strength it took just to step up to the plate. And he always believed in God with every ounce of his soul, mind, body. Even though so much went wrong in his life, even though he struggled almost most of his life in many ways, even though he went through two wars, World War II and Korean War, even though he saw his own body break down with a heart attack, even though he saw his own child go so far off the rails, even though he couldn't have a child, and the child he got that he welcomed into his life wasn't exactly the easiest, and he stood there and he said, I'm going to rely on God through all this. That's probably why when you ask me, those things to give you, I think they're the same things my father gave me. I may not have seen them all the time, but I know them now. He also, and this is a really important one now that you asked that question, and I'm sorry any of you watching this video if this makes the clip, but if you really saw us in our element, you'd see how silly we are. And if Poppy gave me one thing more than anything else, it was the ability to laugh. And he really understood that a healthy family is not just a happy family. You can't always be happy, but one that finds a reason to laugh together. Look at that. What are you, a ballerina?
I think you have to.
Got it?
Oh.
What is this?
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
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 This is hard.
Good job. Love you, man.
Love you too.
Awesome sauce.
So you have one more question for me.
Yeah.
I love when things start with
So, you have a long history of supporting other people who also are in recovery.
True.
How has that, I guess, helped or impacted or, affected you in your own recovery process, but also in the development of the life you have today?
Okay. Boy. Thanks for nothing. There's a phrase that I use often, and I always say that my whole purpose in life now is to be of service to God and others. It's really a mantra for me now, to be of service to God and others. I wouldn't have learned that without someone being of service to me. So when you ask me about how has it changed my life to be of service to other people, to reach out to others, to be available to anyone and everyone that maybe look to me for any kind of support, it's been a game changer. Because when people started helping me, especially say my sponsor, Richard, I didn't get it. I thought that I was getting something out of that. I thought that it was, I'm going to get help, and so that's going to help me grow, and that's the end of the story. I didn't see the reverse order of everything. I didn't understand that the people that were helping me were getting 10 times, hundreds of times as much as I was getting out of that. And it was only over time that I started to learn that when those people were reaching out to me, they were doing it sure to help me, but they had also found a spiritual path for themselves, a way for them to understand that it was important for them to be of service to God and others. It was important for them to reach out to other people and be available to them. And they had only learned in probably hindsight the benefit to themselves. But I recognized that when it's centered on what God wants me to do, when it's centered on a spiritual reaching out, a spiritual dynamic of purpose, I recognize a couple of things. Number one, I recognize that that gives me a reason to get up in the morning. But I also recognize that the people that are reaching out to me and that are looking to me maybe for support or guidance or help or anything, it's not me they're attracted to. It's the spiritual principles that I live by. It's the spiritual essence, let's say, of my own higher power working through me. It's that what I think is what people are attracted to and why people even maybe want to watch this video. And I think what's really important for me is to remember that that's exactly how my sponsor lived his life. And that's exactly what I was attracted to. I wasn't attracted to him because he had all the answers. I wasn't looking to him to fix everything in me. I knew there was something in him I wanted. There was something in him that was attractive. And it was a while before I really realized it was his higher power. It was the spiritual essence of who he was and why he was doing what he was doing. And I think that's what I look for in other people. I really want to say thank you to Kentaro for being a part of this last week and this week. He's also been behind the camera a lot. And it's been so important to just have the support of my family and know that I am loved and I'm cared for and we can carry each other. So please, if you haven't already, subscribe. Please like the video. Please share it with others. Don't forget and comment below, and I'll see you next week. Maybe he won't, but I will. Take care. That was awesome.